What up, y'all? It's me once again, Chris. I'm here to talk a little bit more about news over the boxing weekend, some things that happened, and some things I read and saw online. Real quick, I was talking about my previous video, the referee for the Lucian Bute Labrado Andrade fight. His name's Marlon B. Wright. So let's put his name out there. I hope to not see you in any refereeing any fights anytime soon, dude. Because like I said before, I think you're a little bit biased, and I just think it gives a bad name to the sport. Moving on, Mikkel Kessler, Mikkel, however you pronounce his name. He fought over the weekend, defended his title against some guy I never heard of. Third round TKO. I understand the guy's a good fighter, but kind of frustrated with him just because I know that they had talked last year, or was it this year, earlier this year, about him possibly facing Edison Miranda. And the fight was made for Showtime, and all of a sudden he pulled out, and he wanted to defend his title or something against this guy. Hopefully he's not going to turn to like some of these other fighters that just kind of overseas fighters that just kind of fight in their home countries and defend their titles against mandatories. Hopefully he'll still take on a good opposition, and hopefully he doesn't fight Miranda now because, I'm not saying Miranda's damaged goods, but he kind of got whooped against Abraham, and it wouldn't have the same luster if they fought now, in my opinion. So next up, unfortunately, Alexander Povetkin had to pull out of his title shot against Vladimir Klitschko, which was set for December, with an injury. But I read today that Klitschko is still looking for an opponent. He still wants to fight on that date. His management said he's looking for an opponent in the top 10. Hold on. So I was looking at the top 10. Well, I was looking at different top 10s. Top 10 on like FightNews.com. The names as follow are Vitaly, not going to fight him. Ruslan Chikayev, I don't see that fight being made. Nikolai Valuev, don't see that fight being made. Alexander Povetkin, obviously he's not going to fight him. Peter, that's not going to happen. Alexander Dmitrienko, I'm not even sure who that is, so maybe that'll be made. Juan Carlos Gomez, he wants to fight Vitaly. I think he's meant to have Vitaly, so I doubt that's going to happen. Sultan Ibragimov, we already saw that fight. Nobody wants to see that again. And Oleg Muskayev, I really hope that doesn't happen because we all know how that fight's going to go as well. Chris Arreola, he already has a fight scheduled, so I don't think that fight's going to take place. Andrew Galata, no. Please don't make that fight happen. David Hay. Now there's a name. There's a guy who wants Klitschko. Called Klitschko out to his face. I know he has a fight coming with Monty Barrett. I know he'd probably take the Klitschko fight if given the opportunity, but I don't think Klitschko wants to give him that opportunity. I think Klitschko was pretty annoyed when Hay called him out in public. If you haven't seen the video, it's online on YouTube. It looked like it was happening somewhere in a mall or something. Klitschko said, kind of, earn your way up to a fight with me, so I don't see that fight happening, but it would be interesting. I think a lot of people would like to see it, whether they think Hay could win or not. Also, John Ruiz and Brian Minto. Those guys rounding out FightNews.com's top 16 heavyweights. Those are all easy fights for Klitschko. So I don't know who he's going to fight, but most likely he's going to beat whoever it is. I'd actually like to see him fight James Toney. Tony's been calling him out for years. It's a fight that would gain interest with the fans. I think Klitschko could win, would win, but I'd like to see it. Tony wants to fight, and he'd take the fight too. No doubt in my mind about that. Another thing I want to point out real quick: how in the world is Cali Meehan, the number 1 rated heavyweight in the WBA? Did I miss something there? Because I just don't know what Cali Meehan does to deserve the number 1 ranking, other than maybe having a promoter that's paying the WBA to get that spot. But yeah, I can't prove that, but I don't think he earned it on merit. So next up, I want to talk about Joe Calzaghe. Said he's going to retire after this fight. Didn't say he'd never fight again for sure, but said more likely. It sounds like if he wins, he's going to retire, or so he says. If he loses, I doubt he does. Most fighters don't like to go out on a loss. That's just the way it is. Rarely do fighters go out on losses. I know people say if he wins, he should rematch Hopkins. I don't see it happening. I don't really think he has anything to prove by fighting Hopkins again. I know Hopkins looked great against Pavlik, but Pavlik in that fight did not look anything like what Calzaghe would present in a fight or a rematch. So I just don't think that Calzaghe wants to fight. I don't think he's motivated by it, regardless of how good Hopkins looked against Pavlik. 24/7. Roy Jones and Joe Calzaghe was on HBO last night. Recommend checking it out if you haven't already. Obviously, you guys have probably seen the previous shows that they've had with Mayweather, De La Hoya, Hatton. Great show. Gives good insight to the fighters. It really builds the fight up more than any other pre-countdown shows. Looking forward to the next couple episodes. Alright, moving on. Kelly Pavlik, his management says he's probably going to... Next fight will defend his title against mandatory Marco Antonio Rubio. Good fight for him. Rubio's a tough but limited fighter. It's a fight that Pavlik would look impressive again because Rubio wants to trade with him, and I think Pavlik's just got too much firepower for Rubio, so I think it's a smart choice. Next up, Miguel Cotto. His management says if a fight with Margarito doesn't prosper or pan out for his next fight, he'll fight either most likely Kermit Cintrone or Jesus Soto Karass. I would recommend Soto Karass only because I think it's a little bit of an easier fight. Plus, it makes sense because I think he's stablemates with or he's managed by the same team as Margarito, so it would build a good storyline for the rematch that they want to have. Cintron, I know he got knocked out, stopped by Margarito's last fight, but so did Cotto. And I just don't think you want to take a chance with the guy with the hugest punch as Cintron in your first fight back. Not knowing how you're going to be able to handle or just respond to the first loss of your career. So I think Soto Karass would be the smart way to go, and it'd be a good fight as well. Also, a couple other things I want to talk about. I saw Lamont Brewster is going to be fighting Bruce Seldon. I'm not sure the date, coming up sometime. Brewster should win that fight. I just wanted to mention this because Seldon, back in the day, I thought the guy was going to be a beast. He was quick for a heavyweight, had a great jab, just looked like a good heavyweight, had good power. But I don't know if he didn't have the heart for it or the chin or what it was, but just had too many flaws. But his fight against Mike Tyson, the one in September, the one where unfortunately Tupac was shot later that night, that fight just, no matter how many times I watch it, I just don't see the shot that hurt Seldon and made him go down. The guy was terrified. I don't know if he was just there for the payday because he got a big payday out of it, but anyone who's seen that fight, if you can tell me where the definitive punch was that stopped Seldon or whatever, please point it out to me because I want to see it, or I want to know what happened there. Next up, I only got a couple more minutes, so real quick, drop some thoughts on the fights coming up this weekend. You got Super Flyweight Unification. Christian Mijares, 36-3. He's the WBA, WBC Super Flyweight Champion against Vic Darchiniyan, 30-1. He's the IBF champion, just won that belt off a KO win over Dmitry Kirillov. I've never seen Mijares fight, so I'm going to make this prediction strictly on what I've heard and seen of Darchiniyan. Mijares is a master boxer from what I heard. Darchinian's a brawler. He's got some technique, got a lot of power, but I just think that after seeing the Donaire fight, it might be similar, but more one-sided with maybe not, but I think Mijares will probably win a decision, or maybe a late stoppage, but probably a decision just on being the better boxer technician. But Darchinian's got the power, so he can always catch a guy and stop him. Also on the card, Andre Dirrell, super middleweight fight, Andre Dirrell versus Victor Oganov. Oganov's got the 28-1 record, 28 KOs, but I think he fought on Showtime earlier this year, stepped up for the first time against legitimate competition against Fulgencio Zuniga, and got stomped. Oganov has a huge record, 28 wins, 28 KOs. Doesn't matter. I don't know who he fought to get those. I don't know the guys he fought to get that record, but I don't think they were very good. And I think Dirrell, he's the guy they've been building up on Showtime for a while. He's been up and down. He looked horrible in the Curtis Stevens fight, but he looked great against Anthony Hanshaw. He should win this fight fairly easily. I think a TKO within 6 rounds, or something of that like, and keep moving up that super middleweight ladder. The guy's a good fighter. I'm not a big fan, but he's got a lot of speed and power and confidence. So that's pretty much it. I'll talk to you guys later or on my next video. Alright, I'm out of here.